On the 4th anniversary, Luo Shinin finally promised to accompany me to Sanya to see the seat. But until 10 minutes before boarding, I have not seen his figure. Sending messages only to find that he pulled me black again. When I was alone on the beach blowing the wind, suddenly brushed to his female secretary only updated the circle of friends. See you not only at work, but also on vacation. See you often, miss you often. He was able to take a vacation because I desperately tried to help him finish all the work. I thought he would accompany me to Sanya on vacation so we could spend a romantic anniversary, but he was making other people happy. I sneered and typed, "If you want to see each other more often, why don't you sleep in the same bed? Or you guys live together?" From the day we got together, Luo Shinin had said he would accompany me to see the seat. I've fantasized countless times about the romantic scene of walking on the beach with him, but every time I bring it up, he always says he's too busy at work, which I understand and am not angry about. Even in order to help him to fight for the vacation, I stayed up all night for a week to write the contract for him, compiling planning. I thought that this vacation will be perfect. But until before boarding, when I saw the red exclamation mark on the chat interface, I realized that he will not come, probably have a job again. I did not go to find him. A person dragged the luggage to board the plane, to Sanya to check in the hotel. When I was blowing the sea breeze and sighing about the good life, I suddenly swiped to Tang Siyu's newly posted friend circle. See you not only at work, but also on vacation. See you often, think of you often. It turned out that it was not work that kept him, it was Tang Siyu. I didn't hold back my anger and left a sarcastic message. She didn't reply. Instead, Luo Shinin used her cell phone to call me. "Get your ass back here immediately and apologize to Siyu. I told you to only look at Siyu as a sister. Don't use your dirty eyes to measure us." A sobbing female voice came from the other end of the phone. I ignored him and hung up backhandedly. I stayed in Sanya for a week. I tried scuba diving, went to see the sunrise alone, took a walk in the evening with the sea breeze, and left Luo Shinin and Tang Siyu behind. The night before I went back, I was holding my cell phone and brushing the drama. Luo Shinin suddenly sent me a message that he had released me from the blacklist. "When will you be back tomorrow? I'll pick you up." This was his signal to make peace. Between us, he was the emotional superior, the one in control, and could lash out at me at any time, picking at my thorns, and I kept backing down, begging for peace, without a single complaint, because I know that complaining will only make the fight worse. 4 years of feelings he kept tearing, I sowed, also counted over, but this time alone out of the trip, I suddenly understand some truth. Maybe he is not there. I will be happier. Leave him. Life may change for the better. I looked at that message. My heart was like water. Counting, this is the first time he actively bowed to me. In the past, I used to chase after him and apologize, even if he had blackballed me. I would apply for a new number and borrow someone else's phone until he forgave me. At that time, I used to daydream that one day he would take the initiative. But when I really waited for that day, like now, I calmly returned 3 words to him. No need. I woke up the next day to his reply, sent at 5:00 am. If I say come, I'll come. After landing safely, I saw Luo Shinin's car outside the airport. I was a little surprised. I didn't expect him to really come. He helped me put my suitcase in the back and took the initiative to help me open the passenger door. I hesitated for a moment and laughed. "Forget it, I'll sit in the back." "Why don't you sit next to me? Didn't this used to be your favorite spot?" I did like it in the past, but it was Tang Siyu's exclusive seat. He and Tang Siyu grew up in a university. Their parents were war buddies. Tang Siyu liked him since childhood. It's just a pity that age is a chasm that can't be crossed. When Tang Siyu graduated and worked, I had already become Luo Shinin's girlfriend. At that time, I fought with her on the basis of this identity, but was scolded by Luo Shinin. "Siyu is 5 years younger than us. Can't you just let her be? Now I'm tired and don't want to fight." Luo Shinin, however, shot me a strange look as he tried to speak, but before he could, a sharp phone ring rang. I glanced at it. It was Tang Siyu's phone. Brother Shin, and last night crawling, I should have caught a cold. Now I am so hot. All over my body. Before she finished her sentence, Luo Shinin said several good words in a row. His tone hurried. I suddenly understand. The original last night he went to night crawling. No wonder can early morning to send me a message. The two of them have been together. Tang Siyu also know he will come to pick me up. She made this call on purpose. Luo Shinin was in a difficult situation. His brows lightly wrinkled. Siyu, she has a fever. I have to send her to... If it was in the past, I would have made a scene and questioned him about who was more important. But now I didn't even bother to listen to the explanation, interrupting him and taking the initiative to get out of the car. It's fine, I can take a taxi back. Luo Shinin froze for a moment and snorted. Xiaoyu, just say what you have. Don't be shady with me. He slammed the car door loudly, and on his way out, he didn't forget to urge me to wait for him to pick me up. I didn't want to wait for him, but when I thought that the office computer was still in his car, I had to stay where I was. So, I was at the airport door until dark. The night was raining heavily. I was freezing. Luo Shinin didn't come. No one answered the phone. Tang Siyu's friend circle updated as usual. This time she sent a photo, a pair of hands holding a cup of cold medicine. The accompanying text was, "His concern is warmer and more effective than cold medicine." Looking at the familiar couple's ring in the photo, I recognized that it was Luo Shinin's hand. I didn't call over again, nor did I take a taxi to Tang Siyu's house to yell at her, but calmly took a taxi home. On the way, the driver's big brother asked me why I was standing alone in front of the airport all afternoon. Was I waiting for my boyfriend? I shook my head. No, ordinary friends. After arriving home and washing up, I tiredly lay down on the bed and opened my cell phone just in the early hours of the morning. Luo Shinin still didn't send me a message. I didn't send him another message, called, and clicked on the message that Sister Zhou just sent. Xiaoya, how's your report coming along? We're all counting on you tomorrow. If you can finish tomorrow's presentation properly, you'll definitely get a promotion. Sister Zhou is my department manager, and I've been writing the report she wants for almost a month. But I can't get it out now because my office computer is where Luo Shinin is. I hesitated, didn't call him, and turned my head to send a message to Tang Siyu. Every time they were together, the cell phones would be exchanged for use. The request was made by Tang Siyu. The reason was outrageous. She was afraid that I would scold her and look for a fight. She didn't do anything wrong. How could she be afraid of me? A long time ago I understood that all her friend circles were intentionally sent to me to see. At that time I couldn't control my emotions, and I was always led by her nose. Now I have no waves, but Luo Shinin felt that I was looking for him to get a computer is a front. Quarrel is the purpose. I don't want to talk to him more, once again asked, "Where are you guys? I'll come get the computer myself." Soon after, he called and opened his mouth full of reproachful tone. Xiaoyu, is it fun to make all this noise? Don't you just want me to go back? But Siyu, she needs me now. I've said it many times. Don't speculate on our relationship. I didn't wait for him to finish. I suddenly remembered that the previous report had been uploaded to the cloud, even though it was only a part of it, but I could remember what came after it, and I could make it up soon, which was much more reliable than waiting for him to send the computer back. I hung up and got up to open my tablet to write the report. My phone kept ringing, all his calls. It was rare for him to call me this much. I was the one who always did this sort of thing, and he'd get impatient, scolding me if it would kill me to leave. Tonight, we switched identities and I finally understood him. It was indeed annoying and loud. No wonder he used to pull the plug on me. This time, it's my turn to pull the plug on him. At 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, the report was finally finished. I was so sleepy that I couldn't keep my eyes open, and Sister Zhou excitedly sent a voice after reading it. "Xiaoxia, the report is really fantastic. Your ability to work here in the development of really too bad. Our company promotion is too slow. Now there is a quota can go to the Magic City. or you think about it. In fact, I know that there is no room for development here, but because Luo Shenen's company is here, I'm willing to give up the opportunity for promotion and stay for his sake. But he felt that my job had no future and I could only stay here, and even advised me to give up my job. You've been in this position for several years. If you don't work, I'll be able to support you just the same, understand? I don't dare to gamble. When I was in college, he said that as long as he waited for the company to be established, he would propose to me. But I waited for a year and a year, did not see the proposal ring, but waited for him to recruit Tang Xiu into the company, stayed out all night, and abandoned me in the rainy night. He couldn't even propose, let alone support me. I took a deep breath and typed, Sister Zhou, I can go, please tell the company side. I'm really tired these past few years and don't want to give up another chance for him. After returning to Sister Zhou, I fell into bed and quickly fell asleep. The rain outside gradually decreased. When Luo Shenen came back, he saw the living room light still on downstairs and thought Xia Yu was still waiting for him. He opened the door loudly, venting his dissatisfaction. Xia Yu, I'm tired and don't want to talk to you. Luo Shenen was halfway through his words before he realized that there was no one inside the living room at all, and for a moment, he actually lost some of his heart. So he walked into the bedroom and shouted my name a few more times. Yeah. I was a light sleeper. Hearing someone shouting his name, I woke up at once. Opening my eyes to see that it was Luo Shenen, I fell back and rolled over to close my eyes again. He frowned, his tone unhappy. Xia Yu, what do you mean by pulling me black? In the past, when he pulled the plug on me and I was angry, not only did he not coax me, but he also looked on coldly and said that I was pretentious. So I don't understand why he's upset now. Aren't these things he does all the time? What's there to be angry about? Isn't this normal? Don't you think you're being loud? I said coldly. He froze for a moment, feeling that this was familiar, as if he had said it himself, but coming from inside Xia Yu's mouth, he felt strange and inexplicably angry in his heart. I know you have resentment. Angry that I didn't go to see the sea, angry that I didn't come to pick you up, but Siwa, she really needs me. She is a sister, I can't not. I'm not mad, I'm just sleepy. Let's talk about what's going on after. I took out my headphones and put them on. Soothing music played and sleepiness hit me again. He was still standing in front of the bed. Half asleep, I heard him say harsh words. Okay, Xia Yu, you can make faces now, you're good. This was followed by a heavy slamming of the door. When he gets angry, he likes to slam things. I knew why he was angry, because I rejected him at the airport and came back to ignore him. But wasn't that what he wanted? Usually I pester him for explanations and he's not happy about it, but now I don't want it. I want to go to bed and he's angry. Who cares if he's angry or not? I still have to go to the conference tomorrow. When I woke up the next day, Luo Shenen was sitting at the dining table waiting for me early. Seeing me come out, he took the initiative to get up and help me pull out my chair. I don't know what you like to eat, so I bought one of everything. There were many kinds of breakfast on the table. I didn't feel happy in my heart, I only felt ironic. We've been together for 4 years, from junior year to now, and he doesn't even know what I like, so maybe he never wanted to get to know me. I sank my gaze to a casual and sat down to eat my breakfast. He didn't eat and kept talking on the sidelines. The day we went to Sanya, her parents came over and I showed them around. They wouldn't have missed the plane, but she accidentally broke her foot. Taking a sip of soy milk, I frowned. You. Let put sugar. He froze. Panic swept across his eyes. I'm sorry, yeah. I forgot you're used to drinking sugar-free. I pushed away the soy milk and turned to get a glass of plain water. It's fine. Thank you for buying me breakfast. Aren't you going to eat? Luo Shenen inclined his head and sized me up for a moment. No need. Last night Siu had a fever, she couldn't leave me, and you were able to take a taxi home without me. The luggage, I got it back. You can go get the computer. I had been thinking about the new product launch and ignored what he said. He suddenly slapped his hand on the table, vaguely angry, but took a deep breath and restrained himself. Xiaoyu, if you're angry, just say so, okay? There's no need to treat me with this kind of attitude. I looked at him suspiciously. I'm not angry, ah? You say the same thing every time you talk. I'm tired of hearing it. Besides, isn't it right for you to take care of Tang Xiu? What? I grinned at him. She's your sister and your subordinate. Isn't it proper to take care of company employees and care for the young? Luo Shinin was slightly stunned, rushed up, pressed my wrist. The emotions in his eyes were complicated. He looked at me closely, as if he wanted to find something from the expression on my face. I didn't understand. What was he trying to find? Was he trying to find traces of sadness or anger on my face? It's not the first time he's done this. I'm used to it, and getting angry and arguing can be draining. I broke away from him and got up and went to the bedroom to change into a dress. He followed me and kept asking questions. Where are you going? To do what? When will you release me from the blacklist? Question after question, I was so distracted by hearing them that I glared back at him. Can you keep it down? He finally quieted down and stood in the doorway with mixed emotions. I ignored him, grabbing my bag and heading out the door to work when he stopped me and said in a hushed voice, "This job of yours is pointless. Why don't you come and be my secretary?" My movement to put on my shoes paused, and I raised my eyes to see his gaze certain, as if he was sure I would say yes. Oh. Once upon a time, he was very reluctant to let me spend time with Tang Xiu for the reason that Tang Xiu didn't like me, but now he actually took the initiative. I frowned, but saw a hint of apology in his eyes. Let's just forget it. It's too much trouble. I sidestepped around him and put on my own shoes when he leaned over and said something unexpected again. I gave him a puzzled look. Normally, he would never talk like that. Do you want me to walk you? Today's Luo Shinin was so strange. He kept chasing after me and kept asking questions. He used to talk very little, and with his usual busy schedule, we hadn't said as much in 3 days as we did this morning. If it was usual, I would have responded to him enthusiastically, but today I really didn't want to ignore him. Aren't you tired of talking so much? His mouth was half open, his movements paused, and when I walked to the door to wait for the elevator, he suddenly opened his mouth again, his tone carrying a hint of resignation. But, didn't you used to want me to talk the most? I had also been afraid that if we communicated too little, we would become estranged, so I had discussed with him at the time that we had to say 20 words a day. But he was impatient, saying that I was just jealous of Tang Siwa and wanted to trap him around. I ignored him, opened my cell phone and glanced at the time. It was still early enough to be able to slowly walk over to work. Luo Shinin stared at me in silence for a while, put on his jacket, walked out the door and stood at my side. Really don't want me to send? I shook my head. Riding in his car faced the risk of being left behind at any time, and today I was in a hurry and couldn't afford to take such a risk. Whatever, I'm going to go find Siyu. He snorted coldly and turned to walk down the stairs. I think Luo Shinin might actually be sick today, 29 floors in our house, and he says he's going to take the stairs. I glanced back at his back and cursed, nerve. After the new product launch was successfully completed, Sister Zhou took us back to the company for a meeting, and the leader announced on the spot that I would report to the Magic City next week. My colleagues congratulated me and proposed to hold a farewell party to celebrate the big sale of the new product. Alas, you guys just think about celebrating. Have you ever thought about Xia Yu does not want to go? She still has a boyfriend at home. Xiaolin from the next workstation joked at me. Usually there are company parties, but I seldom go, anxious to go home and make night snacks for Luo Shin. He was busy at work and usually didn't eat in the afternoon. When we first got together then, he was not used to eating takeout, so he offered to let me go to him every day. But I had a job and couldn't stay home every day to cook for him, and he was very upset, saying that I was a selfish person who wasn't willing to give for the sake of love. I made a step back and made him a late-night snack every day. for which I sacrificed my time to interact with my colleagues and became recognized as a love brain in everyone's eyes. I glanced down at my cell phone, and Tang Xiu took a picture of fried chicken and gave it to me. Brother Shannon said that this is much better than a late-night snack. In fact, he can eat takeout and doesn't need my late-night snacks, and several times Tang Xiu sent a few pictures of the trash can with my late-night snacks lying in it. She sent a voice, very proud. Your late-night snack is awful. Brother Shannon doesn't need it at all. At that time, I still reflected that I had a problem, thinking that it was because the food was not cooked well enough. But now it dawned on me that it had nothing to do with me, just because the person who shouted for him to eat fried chicken was Tang Xiu. The office was much quieter, and everyone was looking at me, waiting for me to answer. I closed my computer and smiled. I'm in no hurry to go back. Where are we going to eat later? I hadn't been to a party in a long time, and hanging out with my coworkers made me feel like myself again, able to laugh uncontrollably, and no one would say that my laughter was harsh and tell me to keep it down, or accuse me of being childish like a little kid and stop me from drinking my juice. Halfway through the party, my cell phone began to vibrate. Scanning it, it was a call from Luo Shannon's office. I took a deep breath and pressed the answer button. Where are you at? Where's tonight's midnight snack? Luo Shannon's tone was extraordinarily urgent, as if he had lost something very precious. Won't you go buy it yourself? I hung up the phone, and Sister Zhou was close to me, pulling my arm in one hand. Xiaoxia, we've only just started playing. Are you rushing back again? I shook my head and turned my phone off, tossing it aside. Nah, since we decided to come out and play, we're definitely going to have a good time. The group of us played until 2 a.m. before we went home. Sister Zhou walked me downstairs in the neighborhood. The lights were still on in my house. She couldn't help but joke. There's someone waiting for you at your house, huh? I raised my eyes and nodded with a smile. I didn't expect Luo Shannon to be at home, and even more so, I didn't expect him to be still awake, sitting in the living room waiting for me. Seeing me come home, his eyes lit up and the corners of his mouth twitched. Why didn't you answer the phone? Blaming tone. I mockingly laughed, not knowing what he was blaming. I didn't bother him in Tang Siwei. Did he blame me for not bringing him a late-night snack? But he couldn't even eat it and would throw it in the trash, so was there any point in me doing that? He added a few more words. The fried chicken that Siyu sent you, I asked her to take a picture of it. I furrowed my brow and looked at him in disbelief. He's sitting in the corner of the gray couch, and I can't see his expression. I just find the air around him disgusting. Is there any point in you doing this now? Luo Shannon paused, and we stared at each other for a moment, his eyes laced with heartache. I just feel as if you don't care. You mean Tang Xiu? He stood up suddenly agitated. I didn't say her, I said us. Are you still angry? Or not a few days I'll accompany you to Sanya. I'll book now. No, I'm a little tired. I interrupted him, did not meet his eyes, walked into the bathroom to take a shower. Outside suddenly came the sound of the cup was broken. I know he is angry again. In fact, before, I had always been the one to do the waiting thing. Every time he came home it was around midnight, and when I asked him about it, the reason was always that he was busy with work. But one time I went to the company in the middle of the night to work overtime, and I bumped into him and Tang Xiu in the downstairs bistro. In that moment, I almost lost control and rushed in to ask him what the hell he was doing every day and what I counted. He carefully shielded Tang Xiu and turned his head to splash me with a cocktail. Xiaoyu, can't you know better? Going crazy everywhere. It was winter, and the cocktail soaked my clothes, icy cold. The waiter on the side brought me a blanket, and he looked down on me condescendingly, like he was looking at garbage. Xiu, she's only just joined the workforce. I have to cheer her up every night. What if she gets depressed? Xiaoyu, she needs me more than you do. This sentence was like a needle piercing into my heart, and now that I think about it, it still hurts vaguely. When he came out of the shower, he was still sitting on the sofa, looking at the cell phone on the table, seemingly hesitating about something. I probed and looked, It was the chat interface with Tang Xiu. She was uncomfortable again, this time with a headache. Realizing I was looking, he raised his hand to cover it up. Yeah, it's nothing. It's fine, she needs you more than I do. Go ahead. I ignored him and went straight to my bedroom to sleep. In a daze, I heard the door slam and he finally left. The head office sent a senior sister song to train me for the job. In order to facilitate learning, I took my luggage to the hotel where the senior stayed that day and didn't go home for several days in a row. Luo Shenen's phone did not stop. He changed to an unfamiliar number. I know I pulled black again and again is useless. The first few times I was seen by Sister Song, she asked me, "Shed, leave your boyfriend?" I shook my head without a ripple. We're just normal friends. The morning Song left. I answered his phone. As if he hadn't expected me to answer, he took a deep breath. Something wrong? I asked first. My mom will be here in a few days. Do you want to accompany me to pick out a restaurant tonight? Luo Shenen's mom didn't like Tang Xiu, thinking she was too young to keep up with Luo Shenen's pace of life. But she's not bad to me. The last time we met, she gave me her ancestral jade bracelet and said that as long as Luo Shenen proposes, we can have a wedding right away. Unfortunately, I didn't wear it for a few days before Luo Shenen took it and gave it to Tang Xiu. When I found out, I had a big fight with him. My mom will still give it to you. You'll have plenty more in the future, and Siwa, she only wants this one. I knew that it wasn't the bracelet she wanted, but to demonstrate to me that Luo Chenen's love was all that mattered, and that it was useless for anyone to help me. But she has always wanted to be recognized by Auntie. I fulfill her. Let Siyu go, she's familiar with Auntie anyway. Luo Shenen hesitated and said only after a long time, "But you're my girlfriend." I let out a light laugh. In the past, he wouldn't say this, or he was never willing to recognize my girlfriend's status in front of others. It was always me who took the initiative to introduce myself. I'll come pick you up, send the location over. Luo Shenen said. I didn't want to go with him to choose a restaurant, but I still sent the positioning over. Because I felt that it wasn't good for us to spend any more time like this, so I might as well take this time to clear the air. Seeing the hotel's positioning, Luo Shenen's voice got a little louder. These days, you're at the hotel if you don't go home? With whom? For a moment, I actually didn't know if he was deliberately trying to trap me. His tone was urgent, constantly pressing me to ask what room I slept in and why I had to choose a hotel. I didn't feel concerned, only disgusted. Last month, their company rushed a project and he stayed out all night for several days. I said I would go to help, take care of him. He was reluctant, always refused, more times than not. He got tired of pushing me away. Siyu, she'll be upset when she sees you. In the evening I called him. I didn't hear the sound of the keyboard, but heard the intermittent sound of water. The person who answered the phone was Tang Xiu. Brother Shenen is in the shower and is not available. Do you want me to take the phone to him? At that moment, I felt my entire body's blood retrograde. The next second, the person who answered the phone became Luo Shenen. He looked twice before I came back to my senses and broke down, asking him what the hell he was doing. She hasn't been feeling well this whole time, and I've had to follow her around to take care of her. I grimaced. At the time, I had a stomach bug as well, which he was aware of, but wouldn't even get me medicine. You had to go yourself, huh? I look at her as my sister. She's 5 years younger than me. How could I possibly lay my hands on her? You don't think everyone is as dirty as you are. I tried my best to restrain my crying. Luo Shenen, do you know that I have a stomach bug? You can't spare the time to buy me medicine and have time to take care of other women. He ran out of patience and said with boredom, Don't you know how to buy medicine yourself? You want me for everything. You can't live without me, can you? What? Sister is looking for you to fight again. Is it because of me? Tang Xiyu's innocent voice rang out. He changed his tone and gently coaxed. It's okay, she's sick herself, can't blame you. Heartache mixed with stomach pain, I fell on the sofa. That night, I lost sleep. Yeah, you say, ah? Why on earth were you at the hotel? I was pulled back to my senses by his voice and made up a random excuse. Someone came from the head office side. I'm in charge of reception. I didn't say why they were here, nor did I tell him that I was leaving soon. If I said too much, he'd keep asking again. He let out an a little upset. Men and women? Both. Neither of us said anything else, and after a moment of silence, he sighed softly. In a while, I'll pick you up. Luo Shinin arrived soon after, and it was only after I received his message that I started down the stairs. He arrived downstairs but a minute later and sent another. Why haven't you arrived yet? I used to wait for him quite a few times, starting at an hour each time for dinner, for a movie, even for my birthday, until the party was over. But now he waited for me for only a minute and got impatient. I didn't reply because I had already seen his car downstairs and saw Tang Xiu in his car. He leaned against the front of the car and took out a packet of medicine and handed it to me. Didn't you have a stomach ache a while ago? Bought this for you. I took the medicine. It was the ones I wanted him to get from before. He always remembered them. He just didn't want to pay for them for me. That was last month. Luo Shinin's face was hard to see. There was a hint of embarrassment. Tang Xiu on the passenger side saw it and took over. Sister, last month Brother Shinin was busy taking care of me. This medicine was specially bought when he helped me buy headache medicine last night. She bit down on the word purposely very heavily. Luo Shinin glared at her as if trying to shut her up. I knew that what she wanted to say wasn't on purpose, but in passing. In the past, I craved for Luo Shinin's concern, even if it was just a little bit. But what's the point of being late and giving alms? I'm not a beggar and I don't have that much time to stay for him. He also wanted to explain to me, but saw the inexplicable transfer of money from the cell phone, looked at me in shock. The extra, it's a running fee, thanks for the medicine. He swallowed the words on his lips. You. Next time I promise I'll be there for you. I smiled, didn't say anything, opened the car door and got in. There was no next time, I was leaving soon. Luo Shinin looked at me strangely, then raised his eyes to give Tang Xiwen a wink. Tang Xiwen bit her lip and pretended not to see. I knew that he wanted Tang Xiu to give up the co-pilot, but I didn't need it. Why aren't you leaving yet? Immediately. He glared at Tang Xiu unhappily and finally started driving. On the road, I kept my head down to look at my phone and book a flight ticket, while Luo Shinin's intentional or unintentional eyes always fell on me. The atmosphere in the car was weird. Only Tang Xiu remained the same as before, talking non-stop. Luo Shinin didn't respond to her, and she twisted her head to come to me. Sister, you won't be angry if I follow you guys to pick up Annie tomorrow, right? As the words fell, Luo Shinin slammed on the brakes and looked at me nervously. I knew what he was nervous about, afraid that Tang Xiu and I would quarrel. Tang Xiu has always talked like this. It's not the first time she provoked me. I was angry and hit her before, but it wasn't until Luo Shinin in the dark ran out that I realized I was fooled. She did all of this on purpose. The purpose was to provoke me. Shinin, she went, so I'll just not go. Sister, if you do this, you'll make Auntie talk about me, or I won't go. She pretended to give in, but in fact her eyes were full of complacency. Luo Shinin opened his mouth to call off her little maneuver. Xiu, you get off in front. Tang Xiu and I were both shocked, not expecting Luo Shinin to actually kick her out of the car. To know that the person who was kicked out of the car was always me. Luo Shinin took care of her and couldn't wait to personally escort her to her home. The two of them always had endless things to say in the car, and I always felt like an outsider. Last time on his birthday, I interrupted their conversation and asked a few times if he was going to eat cake tonight. He suddenly braked and I was unprepared and hit my head hard on the chair. Is it annoying to ask so many questions? He was eternally patient with Tang Xiu, while I was always impatient. The shift only lasted a second, and many times I wondered if he had a split personality disorder. I didn't have time to speak. He looked at Tang Xiu and added, I'm not eating with you today. Why don't you eat by yourself? But today is your birthday. If you don't eat with me, who will you go with? I had booked the restaurant long ago that day, and for this meal, I even excused myself from a very important meeting and prepared for several days, and one sentence from him that he didn't want to eat made all my efforts go down the drain. Of course it's Mio. He didn't say anything, and it was Tang Siu who answered me. Her? Then what am I? A girlfriend can't even eat with you, and you let her join you. I waited for Luo Shenen's answer, but he didn't say anything and opened the car door, telling me to hurry and get off. It was the end of the day. That road was crowded. Everyone watched as I was dragged out of the car, and with tears streaming down my face, I asked him in a small voice, "Can you wait a little while before letting me out of the car?" His eyes were as cold as sharp blades, stripping away the veneer of my pride and letting my dignity be impacted by everyone's gaze. "I find you annoying. If you want something to eat, go eat alone." That day I was left like this. He took Tang Siu and left, and even sent a friend circle afterward. The most important day, spend it with the most important person. Shen and brother. Tang Siu still wanted to be pampered. Luo Shennan glanced at her sorrowfully and expressionlessly uttered 2 words. "Get off." But why me? Do you want me to drive my girlfriend out of the car? Now he finally knows that I'm the girlfriend. Tang Siu's tears welled up in her eyes as she didn't linger any longer and slammed the door heavily to get off the car. After she left, Luo Shennan took out his cell phone and pulled her back in front of me. He had been peeking at my expression. In the future, I won't contact her again. I swept it lightly and let out a, "Yeah, can you stop being so cold to me?" I sighed. "What do you want from me then?" "Like before." I forgot what I used to be like. The atmosphere in the car was quiet again. Driving through a few intersections, Luo Shennan hated to hang his eyes on me, and it was really hard for me to sit there, like there were ants crawling all over my body. "Let's go eat your favorite hot pot later." Luo Shennan doesn't like spicy food, and he won't change it for anyone. I used to think it was nothing. Everyone has something they hold on to. But now I think maybe he didn't love enough at the time. Unfortunately, his love came too late. My stomach couldn't eat hot pot, and my heart couldn't hold his love. I shook my head. "No need. By the way, you'd better let Tang Siu go tomorrow." He blushed and hesitated several times before finally speaking. "My mom won't be here tomorrow, but I want to propose to you, and the pair of rings really should be changed." Luo Shennan finally remembered that he had promised in college. If he had ever proposed, I probably would have happily hugged and kissed him and said yes before he even started. But now that the proposal of my dreams was right in front of me, my heart was surprisingly unruffled. I smiled and took off the pair of rings and threw them towards the trash can on the side of the road, just in time to drop them in. Luo Shennan saw my action in the rearview mirror, stopped the car, and asked in confusion, "What are you doing? Isn't a marriage proposal what you've always wanted?" "It was before, but not now." I took a deep breath and said slowly, "Let's break up." The first time I saw a breakdown on his face, I didn't expect it to be when I proposed breaking up. He shook his head and looked at me incredulously. Yeah, I've changed everything and deleted her. Why must we break up?" "I swear, I will treat you well from now on." I didn't look him in the eye and looked away to blow off steam. "We've been together for 4 years. Do you want to give up?" His voice was shaking. He might not really be able to give it up, but I do. "What good are 4 years? You don't even know what I like to eat." "I didn't feel love with you for a long time. I envy your sister more for getting all your favoritism and care." I lowered my head. "Luo Shennan, in fact, every time you left me behind, you should have thought about the end of today. You were impatient with me just for falling in love, let alone getting married. For you, I gave up many opportunities for promotion, and what I got was your insults." He held my hand tightly, tears falling on the back of my hand. "Yeah, from now on, You can do whatever you want. I won't say anything. Can you please not go? We still have a lot of time. You can see the changes in me. I withdrew my own hand and shook my head with a bitter smile. It won't happen in 3 days. I'm going to the Magic City head office. How long? How long are you staying? He trailed off. Maybe forever. I never want to return to your side again. Say sorry to Auntie for me. I didn't keep her jade bracelet for her. Luo Shinin stared at me for a long time. He let out a long breath and opened the car door. He knew he couldn't keep Xiaoyu. He had done too much wrong all these years. I didn't hesitate. I immediately got out of the car. I have nothing to take with me. The hotel luggage is already enough. I walked forward. He drove slowly behind me. The streetlights pulled the shadows of people and cars farther and farther away, until his headlights surged into the sea of cars. I couldn't see anything but a bright future.